A lot of people ask, they're like, Alex, why did you transition? I don't know about for others, but for me, it's because I really felt the need to dominate women's Olympic rugby. I want to take up women's space. I want to get the pointy rugby ball and throw it at their face. I want to join a women's book club and pitch Jordan Peterson every day. And if they try to argue with me, I'll get loud and say they're gay. 'Cause the main objective of all trans people is to mess with people who want trans people. That's our one and only dream. I'll be a women's chess grandmaster with my Superman liberain. Then I'll win a women's beauty pageant with my super masculine frame. I'll put hormones in your salads, sneak estrogen into a school, and replace the women's toilets with one big urinal. Yeah.
This is comedian Alex Franklin, and she is hilarious. On the front of trans kids just wanting to play sports, let's remember.
How many athletes are there in the United States in NCAA schools?
510,000.
How many transgender athletes are you aware of?
Less than 10.
Less than 10
Yep.
out of 510,000?
Yep.
Are you governed when it comes to policy of the NCAA by state law?
Of course.
So if 25 of the 50 states currently say that transgender children can play in sports according to their gender identity, you're bound by that standard?
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say on this subject?
I think part of our challenge is dealing with a very murky set of court decisions and at the state and federal level around this issue, which creates a certain lack of clarity around our policy, because our policy ultimately needs to comply with federal policy.
510,000 athletes, 10 transgender athletes nationwide.
Or less. The harassment that I speak of is far more prevalent in major women's championships than it is in men's championships. And in fact, the data that we put forward from our major championships last year showed that the worst examples of online threats, abuse, and harassment were being directed at women basketball players playing in our women's basketball tournament. That, in many respects, I think, is not as well known as it should be. We tried to do a pretty good job to promote it and make clear to people that that was, in fact, the championship that had the most brutal and the most troubling and the nastiest collection. And all we know of is what shows up on their public handle. We don't know what's on the stuff they're getting in their direct messages. We talked to a lot of the folks who played in those tournaments, and they said the stuff that comes in on their DMs is a lot worse than the stuff that we see on their public handle.
I wish my colleagues who share my concern and yours for the future of women's sports could have heard your testimony. I think it's very important.
Let's also remember the fear-mongering tactics that unfortunately worked with a part, not all, of the electorate leading up to the 2024 presidential election. The millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in ad buys going after trans people when they make up such a small percentage of the country. Let's put a pin in that, because the comedian has a lot more.
Oh, also, sorry, actually, I use a lot of terminology up front. Just to explain, I use the term pansexual. If you don't know what pansexual means, pansexual basically means that I'm bisexual, but also very left-wing. If you're wondering, that's what that is. Why am I telling you this? Well, as a half-Chinese, trans, pansexual, neurodiverse gal, I'm obviously a big fan of raccoons. Top 5 reasons I love raccoons. Number 1, they wash their food before eating. We can only aspire. Number 2, they eat absolutely anything. Makes sense in this economy. Number 3, the crab-eating raccoon is a much stronger development brachioradialis muscularis, but you get the idea. Number 4, they stick to themselves. Anxious queens. And number 5, they can live over 20 years. OMG, me too. Why, thank you. I had my 2-year endocrine appointment very recently. Okay, so fun fact in this appointment. I found out that I have what's been medically diagnosed as a super liver, which means my liver is thrice the strength of a regular liver. I know, which means, so it means genuinely medically I can't get hangovers. I know. A trans woman with a biological advantage? Oh, someone call the International Olympics Committee. I really enjoy being like, oh, I'm trans. And people be like, woo. And I'll be like, I can't get hangovers. And they'll be like, well, kill her. She's not like us.
All of that to say, these are just snippets of her sets. If she does come to a town near you, go. Support her. Support her work. We're going to leave links to her socials in the description box below. But one thing that I just have to get back to is this feeling that we all know this is wrong, at least those that can acknowledge that it is wrong. The pure transphobia that riddles through this country. And unfortunately as well, how one party wants to dominate the conversation. Dominate it. They want to target the 10 or so kids in high school. They want to target a person who is an outcast that just wants to make friends. They want to target coaches. They want to target mentors because it's easy. I've said this before. At one point on the campaign trail, Donald Trump even admitted that he was surprised how well these attacks worked because they shouldn't. I have talked about this in the past as well. We have seen over time how white supremacy will always dictate who to hate at that given point in time. It could be Jewish people. It could be black people. It could be trans people, as we're seeing right now. It could be Muslim people. Even in recent memory after 9/11. Great book, by the way, Howard Bryant, discussing how sports played a role in a post-9/11 America and how so many people, simply for the crime of being brown, were terrorized in this country. And now with what's shaking up, it's going to happen even more. Again and again and again. So this whole strategy of going after trans people, it will end. But then there's going to be another group that is crucified for just wanting to exist, for just wanting to live. I'll tell you one thing. A trans person has never tried to take away my rights. They have never tried to crush my civil rights and crush my spirit. But I'll tell you who has: Christian nationalists, white supremacists. They have. So, where do we go from here? Continue speaking out. Continue using whatever voice you have. I don't care if you have 5 followers or 50 million. You use it. Because each and every time you stand up for the marginalized and oppressed, it helps the effort. And you might be surprised at how many minds you will sway by just being an advocate. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.